broken if they're hurting a child. So our leaders said, please have your children come back for the rest of the summer. We will provide them lunch. We sent them to the food pantry at our Family Resource Center, gave them a food box and information on food stamps. This is a couple of summers ago. I want to let you know that your summer program is making a difference in our community. And I know that most people, when they bring petitions to you, they want you to change something, or they're negative petitions. But I have a petition tonight that I'm calling a thank you petition. So on behalf of the families that we are serving, on behalf of the family that got food, because we were able to provide that to them, and the 88 other people represented on this petition tonight, I want to say thank you. Thank you for providing the Super Summer Meals Program. Thank you for providing the Universal Breakfast Program. I believe that you're doing the right thing for children in our community. I'm excited to partner with you. Thank you for putting children first.
Thank you, Ms. George.
Hi, I'm Linda Humphreys, a retired Buncombe County school teacher. I have the pleasure of working with children for 34 years. At the last school board meeting, the board voted unanimously to do an independent study of the hazardous waste contamination on the Buncombe County School Central Office property. In a report after this meeting, Jan Blunt, Communications Director, said to rule out or identify any air quality issue in advance of proposed building renovations, testing will be done beginning August 8th. If an issue is discovered, a mitigation system could be incorporated into the renovation plans for the proposed STEM high school, or completed separately to ensure the safety of these staff and students currently occupying the building. On August 27th, our local news anchor, Larry Blunt, of WLOS News, reported test results have come back negative for contamination of a well at Buncombe County Schools headquarters. In actuality, there is contamination at the Buncombe County Schools headquarters, although not publicized. On January 27th, testing results from 3 other monitoring wells on the property indicated contamination was present. These results, conducted by the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources and PACE Analytical Services, indicated all 3 wells were well above what the state defines as safe contaminant levels, that being 5 parts per billion. Well number 15, results indicated 320 parts per billion of TCS contaminants. This board voted to do independent study of the hazardous waste contamination of the BCS Central Office property. To study is to pursue knowledge. To do justice by your words and your vote, you have an obligation to acknowledge all findings. The volatile compound TCE is present at high levels. To what degree you mitigate will depend on whether you truly seek information, including things like the pluming effects of these contaminants and results of air contamination sampling. As things stand, it appears you did not vote to study the hazardous waste contamination on the BCS property. To the contrary, you voted to study how to kill the messenger, Mrs. Baldwin, and how to bury the facts. You are not a corporation protecting its interest. You are elected officials.
Thank you, Ms. Humphreys.
Pursue knowledge and err on the side of safety for those who work here, those who visit here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm a little nervous moment of silence in the middle of the meeting to get things moving. I did know what Ms. Humphries just said. She has backed it up with facts, and I've even got more of that. And we'll deal with that issue later. If you want transparency on this board, and if you want real news, I'm going to ask you to do something tonight. Go in closed session after this meeting and take out the communication director here at Buncombe County before we can have straight line news from the real TV-13. Because we are not giving. Now, if you call it a conflict of interest, your lawyer might call it something else. He does not represent this board. He represents this whole county. This is an absolute conflict of interest to have a person of this degree in this position.
This board does not take personnel criticisms in open session. You've been to our meetings, Mr. Rice, longer than anybody else in the room, and you know that. So I'll please ask you not to criticize employees in public session. You can direct your criticisms to the superintendent. There's ways to talk to the board in closed session, and you know that. So please, if you would adhere to the policy we've always had, sir, I would appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. What's been said, I won't take back. Now, when we talk about dropout, Irwin High School had a headline this big across the newspaper back a few years ago. I brought it to the county commissioners and you all as a board, before this superintendent come on board, about the dropout rate. It soared and it soared for 30 years the same way. Now we've got the initiative in mind. Now we're saying we're really hitting the high spots and doing well. You ain't doing any better than you did before. I told the county commissioners and I told this board, the only way that you're going to do better is to have a policy change. When the superintendent of public instruction took the policy change to the state level, it took the dropout rate down. Then the initiative came in. We are still suffering for the dropout rate. Now I want you to compare numbers. Like Clinton said last night on the news, you need to go to the arithmetic. Today we got 25,600 some kids. In 1979, or thereabout, you can check the figures, we had 27,600 some kids. Over 2,000 more. So I'd like for you to figure how we built all these new schools and done all the work we have.
Thank you, sir.
Give me just a second, like you did the other to wrap up.
You gave everybody the same
Be
amount
fair.
of time.
He took part of mine.
No, I stopped the clock.
You did?
Where's the clock at?
Thank you, Mr. Rice.
I'll continue.
Kristen Carter.
Ms. Blind, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Kristen Carter.
Kristen Carter? Don't see her.
Christine Nordmeyer.
Apparently, I'm here to give a different side of the free breakfast. I wrote it down so I get nervous and ramble. I'm a step parent of a freshman at AC Reynolds High School. My husband has MS. He's paraplegic, legally blind, and suffers from chronic pain and fatigue. He has disability insurance, and that helps with some but not all of his expenses. With my husband's disability income, his children qualify for the reduced lunch program. I would imagine even including my income, if medical expenses were taken into consideration, you would still qualify. I made a decision this year to forego applying for the reduced lunch, given the state of the economy and the cutbacks happening everywhere. I feel that even though I may be able to get a break, it's my duty as a productive citizen of Asheville to do my part, however small it may be, to help my country towards the path of debt reduction. I'm telling you this so that you all might understand
Where my frustration comes from when I learned all high school students, and I recently found out Hog Creek Elementary also, are being offered free breakfast. Don't get me wrong. When there is a child that is not getting enough food, it is our responsibility to help provide. I would prefer it to be a community effort instead of through the government, but that's another discussion in itself. All children are not starving. My stepkids eat breakfast every morning before school. However, if you put free food in front of a child, especially if it's what my stepdaughter says is offered at AC Reynolds, a Pop-Tart, among other things, they will likely take it. This program is ultimately a waste of my money and virtually eliminates my small effort to save the school money by not applying for the reduced lunch.
Chairman Reinhardt, Dr. Baldwin, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and what I have to say is important enough for me to stand before all of you to state my case. I believe that many parents, school administrators, and teachers are very concerned about the verbal and written attacks against how the school system is operated. And may I list some of those? One of them just talked about just a few moments ago, the hazardous waste contamination, investigation of the Buncombe County School Maintenance Department, shredding of the documents. Board refuses to hold regular monthly work session. The board refuses to consider cost-saving measures, the hiring of teachers, the lunchroom program, and the lack of transparency. I find it worthwhile to note that a local paper, the Asheville Tribune, took the time to research these accusations and found that, and I quote, "Despite accusations, Buncombe County schools rank high." The writer, Catherine Hunter, even noted that those who made accusations failed to return phone calls, and I quote again, "And those making such accusations have yet to show any documented evidence to prove the claims." Now, why do we keep being drawn into this conversation when many, if not all of these issues have been addressed? Shouldn't our conversation be about improving education for all of our students and teachers and staff? I think so. Folks, you may not know it, but for those of you who are making these accusations, you are effectively destroying the morale of the entire school system, top to bottom. Let's work together, not against each other. You don't raise the bar by being critical all the time. Show me how you're putting kids first. Thank you.
You missed me. I was a public comment, and you didn't call my name.
I'm sorry?
What is your name?
Bill Lack.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill Lack.
Sorry, sir?
Bill Lack. L-A-C-K. I would like to address this directly to you, Dr. Baldwin, if I can, about an incident that happened at last month's school board meeting. Outside this chamber, a friend of mine and I were having a conversation. A member of your staff barged into our conversation and verbally assaulted me about the things I had said in public comment.
So,
If you would, sir.
Sir, same thing I told Mr. Rice. We do not take criticism.
I'm just asking him to make an investigation into it. That's all I want.
That's
I'm not
fine.
naming any names, and
Sir.
I appreciate if you would do that, and then next month I expect an apology.
Okay. Moving on to the action agenda. First on the action agenda is the personnel report. So before I ask for a motion and a second, I would like to state that last meeting we had a personnel report, there is no discussion that is allowed with the personnel report. It's on the action agenda so that board members can express a yes or a no vote. But if we get a motion and a second, there will be no further discussion with the personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the personnel report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify. Thank you very much. Next on the action agenda is the North Carolina School Board Association Board of Directors. They have an opening, and I'm not exactly sure how to handle this one. I guess, is there a nomination for anyone that would be able and willing to serve? This is a pretty big time commitment, and we're not required to send anyone from this board. But if anyone has an interest in serving, maybe if you would just signify by saying that you would be interested.
Sure, I'm
Okay.
I'd be happy to be considered. I'm not sure what the procedure is, but I'd be happy to be considered.
Okay.
Just one.
Okay. So we have two folks that are interested.
Yeah, best way to handle it is to ask for a motion and a second on the first name, Ms. Baldwin. If she receives a majority vote, she would be the nominee. If she does not, then you would then move to the second name in consideration.
Okay. You can see on the correspondence that came what is involved. There's several meetings that have to be attended, and you will need to complete a one-page essay. All right, so we're only allowed to send one nomination.
It says nominations plural on the form.
That's why I was asking if this is one or two. I wasn't. Their email doesn't read very well. It's not very clear.
To be quite honest with you, I didn't think anyone would be interested.
I agree that it doesn't seem to specify, so again,
All right.
they want it by official action of the board.
Well, how about if we do this?
You can entertain a motion.
I would entertain a motion that we accept both and allow them to fill out the necessary application. And at that point, it'll be the decision of the North Carolina School Board Association.
I mean, it looks like, am I reading this right? They're gonna
Yes.
probably have more people nominated for their spots than what they have spots for. So it could be one or both or neither.
Yes. Yeah. So the
Exercise, as I read it, it looked like they weren't even sure whether they were meeting.
That's correct.
And if they were in this reading, but that's right.
So the nomination, or the motion is that we allow Lisa Baldwin and Pat Ryan to submit their applications to the North Carolina School Board Association for serving on the board. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Anyone, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, great.
You do have to submit a photograph of yourself.
Absolutely.
Maybe an old book.
Yeah, with hair, right, with hair.
No glamour shots.
Ms. Baldwin has hair, so she's okay.
All right, next on the action agenda, we moved from the consent agenda, the use of the race to the top funds to purchase Discovery Education Science textbook. Is there a motion to use these funds?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I believe there were a couple of questions for clarification. Ms. Baldwin had a question. I'll let her go first.
Right, I think this is it sounds like a fantastic effort to supply the, I believe it's middle school, is that right, Ms. McCoy?
Yes.
The middle schools with the science textbook. And
I
I guess
guess we have enough, because it doesn't have to have a one-on-one. It can just be a
Okay.
teacher using a laptop and projector.
Right.
And it's really great. It's not a digital textbook, it's a textbook, and it supports with the curriculum, the teachers and the students.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next on the action agenda, we have the open session, August 2nd, 2012, open session minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended for
approve
You
the
would make
minutes
a
with
motion to
amendments.
amend.
With amendments to the minutes. Maybe I should use another word, with changes. With the changes that were submitted 2 days ago.
Okay. All right, there's a motion to the open session. Did everyone receive a copy of those? Okay. All right, is there a second to amend the minutes? Okay. The motion fails for lack of a second. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented? So moved. Any open session? Any discussion?
Yes, I have some questions. Go back. I just haven't answered yet on the clarification that Chairman Reinhardt stated that a comment period would be available to each board member at this time. That was talking about the board directive time. I don't think that's quite what you said, Bob, because, we can't comment unless there's a second to the motion. So I think you might have said that if there was a second to the motion, that would be a comment period. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I believe that I said that if anyone had a board directive or a motion to make, they could make it at that time.
Right, that's not, it says that there would be a comment period available to each board member at this time. I think that that's an error, because that's what it used to say under the board's comment time, if we're reading the same minutes. That's incorrect.
Okay.
That's one of the changes I was making.
All right, I'll make a motion to clarify my statement, to read that at this time we'll allow any motions or board directives. Is there a second to change that?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of making that change, please signify by saying aye.
We're only voting on that one change.
That's correct. That's correct. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I just have a clarification of the statement that I made, that, 4 words were omitted that were important to the discussion. Otherwise, nobody would understand what it was talking about. On point number 2, my point number 2, if you're looking at my changes anyway, but I'd like to amend the motion to approve the minutes to insert the words of the contaminant TCE after I quoted the test results from the monitoring wells, 287 parts per billion, 73 parts per billion of the contaminant TCE. That was omitted.
Just my thought and why I didn't second the changes that she did is there's just expansions of what was said.
It's
Hold on.
I thought we were just.
No, we don't have a second. We don't have a second yet. She's made a motion to make those changes. Okay, is there a second? Okay. Okay. All in favor of?
I move to amend the motion. I'm not finished making amendments.
Okay.
To insert the word DENR, Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, instead of the pronoun they,